The army has ruled Pakistan for nearly half of its country's existence. While the jury is out on what the future holds for the nuclear-armed country, no one in Pakistan knows for sure when the political uncertainty will end or at what cost. WION's Ramesh Ramachandran reports.
Unprecedented. First of its kind. It was unlike anything Pakistanis have ever seen. A serving Pakistani army chief interacting with lawmakers for 4.5 hours with a Q&A session thrown in to boot. On Tuesday, General Qamar Javed Bajwa appeared before a committee of the Senate, the upper house of Pakistan's legislature, ostensibly to brief lawmakers on national security issues. It was the first time ever that a Pakistan army chief presented himself before a committee of the legislature, and only the second time in just over 6 years that an army chief briefed Pakistan's parliament. It was in 2011 that the then army chief addressed a joint session of parliament on the heels of Osama bin Laden's killing by the United States Special Forces in Abbottabad. The Pakistani media reported that the briefing was in camera and the top brass of the army was in attendance. ISI Chief Lieutenant General Naveed Mukhtar, Director General of Military Operations Major General Sahir Shamshad Mirza, and Military Intelligence Director General Major General Asim Munir. General Bajwa made a pro forma presentation, no surprises there. He spoke about the Army's commitment to democracy, the supremacy of constitution, how the Army did not intend to destabilize the civilian government, the Army brokering a deal to end a sit-in by a cleric and his band of followers in Islamabad, Parliament thrashing out defence and foreign policies which the Army would follow, and that the Army has no desire to play an extra constitutional role. An Army spokesperson said that, "Army is also an institution of the state of Pakistan. We work within our limits and will continue to play our constitutional role for security and stability of the country." But the general's parting shot was a warning. Politicians must not give an opportunity to the army to intervene. He is reported to have told the panel. Again, not entirely surprising given the Pakistan Army's history of coups. It is ominous, coming as the warning did at a time when there is political uncertainty in Pakistan today. Since Nawaz Sharif's ouster, a lame duck civilian government headed by Shahid Khaqan Abbasi is in power. He will have to bridge the gap till the next parliamentary election due by June next year. But will the election be held? Will the coup-happy 111 Brigade of the Army step in? This brigade had a hand in all of the military coups in Pakistan. Already the Speaker of Pakistan's lower house of legislature has sounded a note of caution. "I was not this upset even in 2002 during Musharraf's tenure as I am now. It is not necessary that martial law disrupts the system, but Pakistan has been vulnerable in the past." Then there is the perennial fear of an army rule by proxy. There are several contenders for the so-called King's Party. Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf of Imran Khan, Milli Muslim League of Hafiz Saeed, Tehreek-e-Labbaik Ya Rasool Allah of Khadim Hussain Rizvi, and General Pervez Musharraf's All Pakistan Muslim League. General Musharraf has already declared his fondness for Hafiz Saeed, and General Musharraf has his share of supporters in the current Pakistani army. As they say, watch this space. Ramesh Ramachandran, WION.
Well, beyond the optics, let's take a look at some more fine print from the Marathon Senate session of Pakistan's army chief. He did not shy away, General Bajwa did not shy away from displaying his public support for Hafiz Saeed. When he was asked about Saeed's role in the Kashmir dispute, General Bajwa compared the mastermind of the 26/11 terror attacks in Mumbai to every ordinary citizen of Pakistan. He told Pakistani lawmakers in the Senate that Hafiz Saeed has the right to, quote-unquote, take up the Kashmir cause like any other Pakistani. The army chief has denied the army's involvement in the recent Faizabad sit-in as well. The protest had brought the capital city of Islamabad to a standstill. General Bajwa categorically denied the army's involvement, even said that he will resign if someone can prove the military's involvement in what happened a few weeks back. Joining us this evening from Chandigarh, former Army Chief of India, General V.P. Malik, and Michael Kugelman, Senior Associate for South Asia Program at the Woodrow Wilson Center in Washington. Good evening to both of you. General Malik, let me begin with you. What does one make of the Pakistan Army Chief's statements?
This thing should be seen under two circumstances that the Pakistan is going through these days. The first one is that politically as well as economically, Pakistan is not receiving good, not having, going through a bad period at the moment in the global arena. And the second thing that I want to mention here is that the army for quite some time now, Pakistan army for quite some time have now been, they probably think that the kingmaker is better than being a king. And that is why they have not attempted, they are not probably going to attempt any coup as long as they can remain kingmakers and they can, as it has been happening ever since Musharraf has gone. So I don't really read very much as far as Qamar Bajwa's statement in the Senate is concerned. He is only trying to put across his position to the world more for publicity. But as you said, that he has also warned the politician that don't tempt us or don't give us an opportunity to come in and intervene in the governance part. So there is not going to be much change. It is just a question of keeping the politicians on his side as much as possible, and also for the world opinion. I don't see there's going to be any major change as far as the army's role in Pakistan is concerned.
Indeed. Michael Kugelman, last week reports said that the government was acting on United Nations recommendations to the same effect. All of it doesn't add up because we know that the military controls nuclear installations, the military directs foreign policy, the military has business interests in Pakistan. So would you take Qamar Bajwa's word when he says that we want to take a back seat, let the government govern?
Yes, actually I do. I think that that's an accurate statement. I mean, look, we know that the Pakistani army is deepening its already tremendous power in Pakistan. As the civilian government has gotten weaker in recent months, the army has only gotten stronger. And I think what's notable is that the army has really been asserting itself, even in areas where it's traditionally ceded ground to the civilians. So, for example, a few months back, the army spokesman, General Ghaffar, actually started speaking at a press conference about economic policy. And typically, the army lets the civilians deal with the economic policy. But I agree with what was just said before, that I don't think anything is necessarily going to change. I don't think we should overstate these comments that were made by General Bajwa yesterday. I think what the Army wants is to continue to control the show from behind the scenes, and it wants the political situation to get to a point in Pakistan in the next coming months where there could be an election. I think the Army does want there to be an election, and I imagine it wants there to be one on time. The Army is not going to take over directly. I simply don't see that happening, at least not in the immediate future. I think the Army is perfectly content to be controlling affairs from behind the scenes, and I think at the end of the day, the Army would not want to have to be saddled with the responsibilities that it would have if it were to step in, such as dealing with, a very troubled economy and an energy crisis that's remained quite significant. I think it would not want to have to get involved in those types of things. So bottom line, let's not read too much into what was said by General Bajwa. I think that the status quo will remain. The army will continue to be strong behind the scenes and get stronger, but it's not going to try to take over anytime soon.
So essentially they want more, this is a quest for more power without responsibility. You say the army wants elections on time, and from the looks of it, they want their pawns to stand and win in those elections. General Malik, the statements on India, on the one hand, the army chief has said, and I'm quoting again, they will back the government in efforts to normalize ties with India. In the same breath, he goes on to say that Hafiz Saeed, like any other Pakistani, has every right to, quote-unquote, resolve the Kashmir issue.
Yes, there is no doubt that the Pakistani government has been wanting the dialogue to resume, Indo-Pakistan dialogue to resume. And that is what he is trying to say, that they will support the effort from the Pakistani side to resume the dialogue with India. It is India which is refusing to do that because of the terrorism problem that we are facing from the other side. So he's only showing his support to the effort being made by the politicians to resume the dialogue, but otherwise there is no change in the situation.
Michael, your thoughts on this?
I mean, my sense is that the Pakistani, we really don't know Pakistani what to do when it comes to negotiating dialogue with India. I think we hear the army say all the time that resumption in dialogue, but I've always thought that it's the civilians, government in Pakistan that's much more supportive of relaunching a dialogue process. And I think it's clear that the Pakistani army derives an advantage, and quite a few advantages of not having dialogue with India, because it allows it to essentially reject India as a threat, as a hostile actor, and it gives the army, it really justifies the army's view that it needs to retain a lot of power so that it could serve and protect the country from this perceived threat from India, which I think we can all agree is a bit overstated, exaggerated notion to say that.
I'm afraid your audio wasn't very clear, and I do apologize to the viewers for that. Michael Kugelman and General Malik, thanks very much. Thank you both for joining us here on the show.